Welcome to this week's TwoSetSchool video. Today we're going to talk about how you can play faster passages, because we all want to play fast, don't we?
Yes, in fact, we had this email coming from one of our fans asking what I struggle with is fast passages during performances. Sometimes I stumble with my left fingers. Even though I practice with patterns, good, she already knows about patterns, and practice slow, is there any other advice you'd give? Please make a video on it. Or here's the video.
So, the 10 tips to make you play faster. The first one is
metronome / slow practice. Okay, so we all know about slow practice is probably the best way for you to make a passage secure and work it up. Oh shit. Okay. But my brain's frozen. We all know that slow practice is the best way to work a passage up so it's secure and then you can play it faster. But how do we do the slow practice? Well, one of the best ways to do it is to use a metronome, because the metronome forces you to be extremely strict even at slow tempos. So you're forced to have utmost control. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do this. You can start quite slow, so even sometimes with a really hard passage I might start half or even a third of the final performance tempo, and you can build it up slowly. So say you play it perfectly and can do it, you bump it up maybe 5 beats per minute. Make sure you can do that perfectly, bump it up until you get to where you go.
I like to set a little benchmark for myself, so at a certain tempo I like to play correctly 3 times in a row. Some people do 5 or 10 times, but 3 for me, I find it saves my time and also it's like a sweet spot.
Yeah, and with that too, I also find a rule I also do is if I get it 3 times in a row right, I move up a notch. If I get it wrong, say 3 times in a row, it means I'm not ready, I take it down a notch again.
Yeah, okay. So you find where your fingers kind of struggle in that round with the metronome.
Now, sometimes though, and we'll talk about this later, sometimes it helps to do the slow practice with perspective of the final fast performance. So some people like to utilize this thing too, where they jump around. So maybe if it's 140 beats per minute, they'll practice 70, and then they'll practice 100, and then 75, 105, just to, you know, give yourself variety too, so you don't go insane. But yeah, metronome practice. And the coolest thing about metronome too, which one of my lecturers in my uni said, is ironically, when you practice with the constraint of metronome, the moment you turn the metronome off, you have infinite more musical freedom.
Yeah.
Because of the control, with the discipline, you then get the freedom to express.
Yeah. And the metronome will never lie.
Number 2 is
dotted rhythms. Now, some of you may have heard this from your teacher before. It is one of, I guess, the basics. The most simple and easiest way to speed up your fast passage work techniques. Dotted rhythms can, basically you're just playing da 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 on a certain passage, and then you flip it around. Da 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 da. So for example, let's say I want to do a passage. This is Saint-Saëns' Introduction Rondo Capriccioso. Then you flip it around. That gives you more variety and basically trains your muscles to move in a different manner. Because if you practice with the same rhythm, chances are you will practice in some bad habits where you feel most comfortable, and it won't be exactly, I guess, exactly even.
Well, for those of you that know the violin legendary teacher, Ivan Galamian, he's basically talks about using coordination training in your practice. So his philosophy is this technique, which is knowing your movements, but then there's the practice of how your mental commands connect with your movements. And the beauty about things like dotted rhythms and accent and bowing patterns, which we'll talk about later, is by giving yourself these mental challenges that make it harder, you become more versatile. You're tackling the same passage from different angles, and by being able to do it in all these different rhythms, doing it straight suddenly becomes 10 times easier.
Yeah. So you have the freedom, and as Eddie says, versatility. Is that even a word? Fuck no. That's not a word. So you're basically you're more in control of your body and your fingers and whatever you want to play, and all the passages that come later on will become much easier because you would know where you trip on. Normally it's the third finger, it could be the fourth finger, it could be the second finger, it could be any fingers.
By the way, it's not just dum da da. I mean that's the standard.
Yeah. But
you could do rhythms like da 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 da, or if it's
so. Sorry, do it again. I don't even know what that was. So so it could be.
Da 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 da. See, that is an example of using rhythm to reveal weaknesses. Da, 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 da. Yeah. That's right.
So one. The three is.
Is it accents?
Yes.
Accent patterns. Okay. So basically similar to the rhythm, but instead of changing the rhythm, you change where you emphasize. So, can I get your violin to demonstrate? You basically pick out certain notes that you want to accent. So, say the same example, I might want to accent every 1 out of 6. So. And after I do that passage, I'll go accent number 2 out of 6. And then, number 3, number 4, and then I can do every odd number. Or every even. And basically that all, like the rhythm, trains your coordination and your versatility. Cool.
That's it. Accents, very good for you.
Mm-hmm. And you can actually you can combine that with the rhythm too, which is like double. So it's like, I don't even know if I can do this. Or whatever. Yeah.
Just be careful with the accents. Don't use too much bow. Otherwise, you might practice out of context, which we'll explain later.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, bow patterns.
Yeah.
What's bow patterns?
So, like practicing with different bowing patterns. So sometimes it's worth.
Slurring it and stuff like that.
So yeah.
Okay. So the next one is bow patterns. Now, how does bow pattern relate to playing fast? It's because if your left hand is moving fast, your right hand also has to keep up in some form. And a good way is to just play it differently. Slur, put in extra slurs, group it differently with the bows. So for example, that same passage, it's all separate bow, right? You can slur it, let's say in groups of 6. Then you can change it up, say groups of 3. Whoops. Anyway, and you can change up to groups of 2. And so on. And the same thing as we mentioned before, this way will also train your brain. Mentally train your brain to work better and be more versatile in different situations. And after all of this, when you come back, it will be much easier.
Yeah, the cool thing you'll find about using slurring too is if you slur a passage that is separate, say sautier for example.
Can we just do it? Oh, you do it.
I'll do it. So for example, you might think that lack of clarity is coming from your bow, but a lot of the times the lack of clarity is actually the fact that your left hand is not rhythmically even, so it's not going down in time. And you'll find is if you slurred it, the actual placing and lifting of your fingers has to be exactly on time because you can't get away with anything else when you slur. Simultaneously, if you have a slurred passage, sometimes it's simultaneously. If you have a slurred passage, sometimes it's good to practice it separate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, and this can tie with the rhythm patterns we talked about before. So you can practice slurs and also the rhythms at the same time if you really want to challenge yourself.
So groupings is when you split something into smaller groups. So for example, four, that's one run, okay? That I've been trying to practice in the corn goal. Instead of trying to tackle the whole thing, what you do is you break it down into small chunks. So let's say I'm going to break this into two groups, one of 4 and one of 5. So, and I just execute it until it feels like one mental command is all that's needed. Like
one gesture.
Yes.
And once you put all the gestures in, like Eddie was saying, in the groupings, he'll demonstrate for you soon.
Yeah, so that's number one. The second one will be
gesture 2.
And once I get that secure, I'll combine the two. Oh, fuck, I can't do it.
You get the point.
There you go. So sometimes if you can't do it, break it down into small groups. Sometimes even a shift. There you go.
Notice how Eddie was also trying to work out where the glitches were. So where he kind of stumbles in the whole passage. Now he basically finds out where the glitch is and he does the passage in the, what's it called? Group. He works on that in one motion and makes it one mental command.
So in that particular case, if you replay, you'll find out my glitch was actually because I practiced the two groups. My glitch was the connection between the groups. So I actually took the later half of the first group and the first half of the second group and made a group out of that and practiced that.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
So the end of the first group and the beginning of the next group. That's where the problem was. This
is also how Galamian recommends practicing staccato passages. So like, he said to do and then until you can do it as one.
Yeah. So the next one is, oh, by the way, Eddie's just chucking a psst. Next one is circular loops. Circular loops is basically taking a section of a passage and looping it back and forth. I'll just show you very quickly. The passage is And you can play that back and forth. So you go again, and more mental patterns, and it really challenges your fingers and coordination, both hands. And when you do these loops, it basically really settles the passage into your muscle memory. So you're less prone to doing mistakes while in concerts because you know the passage inside out and back to front. He's back now. Literally, back to front. So you can't go wrong. And the next one is...
What is the next one?
Blocks.
Blocks.
He's back for blocks.
Blocks. Okay, so continuing the theme of making a lot of actions, a lot of notes into bigger commands, mental commands, is that the problem with fast playing is your brain does not have the time to be consciously telling your finger every finger that needs to be placed. So instead, you need to group notes into bigger commands that once you think something, you play all the groups in the same time.
Yeah.
One good way to do that is what I call blocks, but it could also be hand frames. Basically knowing and setting your hand in the right way, so rather than shifting around finding each note, all your fingers are in position over the notes that you need to play, and you just drop and lift them.
So, for example, in arpeggio, I don't need to go. I just keep my hand in that one position, as Eddie said.
It looks weird, but a lot of people do it.
Yeah, it looks really weird. So in blocks, next shift, next block, next one. Fuck. I'll try again. Blocks.
Nice.
That's a block. Now, if I don't play it in blocks, oh, this is gonna be... I can't do it. I basically lose control. I don't know where to put my fingers. So blocks basically make it easier for you to function because you don't have time to think that fast, as Eddie just said. So when you put it together, it's basically how many blocks? 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Notice also, the cool thing is after the shift, most people think da da da. They're just thinking 1 2 1 da da, and they just focus on getting the A. But when Brett shifts, his whole hand is there. His 3 is already over the C sharp when he plays the A.
So
he shifts as a whole unit.
Can you guys see this? My third finger is there already. It's not back here. Ah!
Yeah.
Look at my pinky. I'm gonna play on the whoopee. Yeah. That's it, right?
Yeah. Actually, one more thing. Yeah. So it's all about preparation. Cool thing also with blocks is if you ever have something like. Okay, instead of go, you can literally think of it as, and just practice. Try this. Practice having all your fingers down. Okay? And then basically practice putting the 3 fingers down together. So, but all in the right position.
Sounds like an ambulance.
It does, eh? And then once you do that, just stagger it.
Can you guys see?
So you go, rather than go, which a lot of people do, practice. And then once you stagger it, see, now that feels like one motion. This doesn't feel like 1 2 3. It's 1 2. So yeah, that's it. What's next?
Next one is adding notes. Okay, so the next one is adding notes. Adding notes is a way, basically, that breaks everything down in your scales. It's a kind of cool way to practice and very easy. You just add one note on top of each other. Mm-hmm. So let's say, you know, the passage in Tchaikovsky. I'll try again. That passage work. To play it like that, given that what we've told you already, the blocks and all the patterns, adding a note is basically just putting a note after each one. So you start. And so on. And eventually it'll... Can't do it. But eventually you should be able to play it. Let me try again. Something like that. So your fingers are already basically break everything down. You find every single finger in the right position, right? Keeping in mind, keep it in the right position as Eddie just mentioned before. If you practice this adding a note technique without keeping your hand in the right block position, you're going to have a hard time playing it together.
Another variation that you can do for that is when you add the notes one by one, whichever note is the last one, you pause on it.
Oh yeah.
So to make sure it's in tune and with a good tone quality.
Yeah. So for example, whoops. So you can check like that in every single note, keeping the blocks and adding a note. The next one is Hillary Hahn.
Right, before that, I just want to say some fishes again, Philly. Maybe like, by the way, you can find a lot.
Oh yeah, okay.
Do you want to say?
Yep. Oh, by the way, guys, if you want more information about this, a lot of this is in the book called Practice, and by Simon Fisher.
It's a really good resource.
Very good resource, and it's quite a nice read. Although it goes quite into detail, very into detail and technical details. But it's really worth the read, and you can literally teach yourself through that book. Okay, so click on the link below. We provide you the link so you can see what the book is about. We own one ourselves, and we go back to that book as a reference whenever we feel stuck or confused about some certain concepts, because this book is science, right?
Yeah.
Science. Okay, so click the link below. They'll link you to the Amazon book page of the book and have a look. I think it's only $50, $40.
I have no idea.
But it's seriously worth the purchase because it's got everything in there.
Yeah.
So check it out and tell us what you think, actually. And if you have any more questions, email it to us.
Sweet. Now,
I should have said that.
No. Well, can you cut it out?
Yeah, and if you have any more questions, comment in the section below. Hillary Hahn.
Okay, now, so those are kind of little...
Whoops.
That was 7, right? The 7 things we did there are kind of... The 7th point...
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right?
Yeah.
The 8 points we mentioned just then are tools you can use to practice passages in order to make them much more secure when you play them fast. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is more a concept or a strategy that you can think about when doing slow practice. So, before I talk about it, I just want to say Hillary Hahn basically wrote a very excellent article about this. Again, we'll put it in the comment description box below for the link if you want to read it yourself. But basically, she's saying there are 3 different ways to do slow practice, and if you're not aware of this, chances are you're wasting your time doing slow practice that might not be the right type for you. Okay? So, the first one is just when you do everything in slow motion. So you feel like literally you're like in a slow motion movie. And the point of this is so you have the time for your brain to figure everything out. You're consciously aware. What position am I in right now? Where should all my fingers be set? At what angle should they be set? What angle should my elbow be in? Is anything tense that shouldn't be tense? This is the time where you can really figure things out, I guess. Because if you're practicing fast all the time, you can't examine things closely enough, and you're practicing through habit.
Yep.
And you all know that breaking an old habit is harder than learning a new one.
Yeah.
So you want to avoid making bad habits in the first place.
The second one Hilary Hahn mentioned is within your slow practice, whenever you have a fast transition in a piece, practice the transition quickly within the slow practice. Does that make sense? So often have you found that you practice slow, but you still can't play it fast? Okay. Now, given that we've given you the 8 techniques and practice methods to do this, sometimes if you practice slowly, let's say if there's a shift and you practice the shift slowly, but the fast passage requires you to shift fast, that just doesn't make sense. So do slow practice, but whenever there is something that is, I guess, a quick movement.
So typically that's change of bows, string crossings, and shifting.
So like let's say, if we pull up the example from the arpeggio again, if I do slow practice, here's a shift. That's never going to make it on time. So I have to practice it quite quickly within the shift. The shift has to be quite quick. Notice how I move my hand quickly? So same thing with string crossings and all the other things.
Yeah, I guess the theory behind that, why that works, is often when we do slow practice, we practice with big movements because we can, we have time. The theory behind this is because often when we do slow practice, we might get it all accurate, but we're using big movements like that because we can when it's slow. But the thing you have to realize is once it's fast, you can't afford to use big movements. You have to be very efficient. So why not use those efficient movements during your slow practice? Or even to the point of saying bowing distribution, you know? Some people are practicing fast détaché using the whole bow in slow passages.
It does. Okay, look, if I play the passage fast, whoops, my bow is literally going. Yeah, see? Sorry for the awful sound, but there's not a lot of bow movement. And if you practice slowly like this, what's the point?
Yeah,
You're wasting your time. So small bows and slow practice as well.
The last one Hilary Hahn mentions, and it kind of ties in with the last point we're going to mention, is to do your slow practice, but with your focus and intent on making all the shapes and musical phrases and emotions and colors and vibrato you would make when playing it in performance tempo. Pretty self-explanatory.
And of course,
now the last point that we want to make, and this was something that was posted by a good friend.
Yeah, I was just saying, but Stefan made the same thing as this the last point, right?
It's slightly different because one's about phrasing, one's about actually
Feeling.
emotional
Feeling.
Okay,
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so practicing. So Stefan saying practice slow with you tense up as well.
When you practice slowly,
Feel the emotion
you
as well.
feel the emotion in you because your body gets into a different state.
Okay. So the last one we want to provide to you guys, the last one we want to give to you guys today is a video made by a good friend of mine called Stefan Jakiv. Good friend, my ass. I don't even have to pronounce his name. Stefan. I need to check this. This is bad.
Just say Stefan, and he can link.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, his video is in. You can if you want.
I think it's better to say his last name, hey?
Just pause it.
So the last one we want to provide to you guys is a video. So the last one we want to provide to you guys is a concept that a good friend of mine, Stefan Jakiv, brought up about practicing slowly and why it isn't enough. He mentions that when you do slow practice, it's also very important to feel the emotion of the music. And you yourself have to feel that music in the moment in time when you practice slowly. Because he claims that when you play fast and you practice slowly without any emotion, it doesn't match up. Your emotions are not there at the same speed. Doesn't make sense. So when you practice slowly, you can't replicate the same emotion when you're playing fast. I hope that makes sense. Watch the video.
Yeah.
We'll provide a link in our comments below where he explains in detail. I think it is a very important topic that no one really thought about. Definitely eye-opening for me, and it worked for me. Trust me, just try it. Check out the link. We link it to you and have a look. He's an amazing soloist, by the way.
Yeah. I think Stefan brings up a really good point, because this is something that applies especially if you do a lot of performing with experience, which is that when you're performing, you get into emotional states, right? But when you're practicing slow, you're in a very mechanical, methodical state. Now the thing is, memory is state dependent. What do I mean by that? Well, the thing is, if you're feeling really happy right now, chances are you probably think of a lot of times when you're happy in your life. On the other hand, if you're feeling really depressed in this moment right now, you probably think back and you can probably think of a lot of depressing memories, because memory is state dependent. So, if you practice in a state of calm calculation, but you're on stage, suddenly you're in a state of excitement, you've lost that bridge, the connection in your brain.
And that's why everyone rushes on stage. Because, and it doesn't matter how many times you practice with the metronome in a calm state, it's never going to be the same when you have adrenaline in you. So, get used to playing with emotion. I guess the video will explain it.
Yeah.
And as Eddie said, your state is very important. Mind games. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Check out those links we've placed in below for you. If you want the book, the Simon Fisher's practice book, click the link below. And if you want to see Stefan's Jackie's video, also click the link below in our comments section.
And Hilary Hahn's article.
Yes, and Hilary Hahn's article. Happy practice, and let us know how you go in the comments. And we'd love to hear your progress, because the results are what we are going for, and we'd love to help you achieve what you want to do.
Yeah.